Hello and welcome. In this training, I'll be showing you the difference between a simple named range and a dynamic name range. First, why named range? It makes it easier for the user of the workbook or worksheet to understand the formulas used in that worksheet. So when you use named range in your workbook or your worksheet, when inputting formulas, it makes it easier for the user to understand. A simple named range is simple in the sense that it doesn't update. The range you just selected and name it, it doesn't update when you input new data into that range, except that data is stored in an Excel table where it automatically updates whenever a new data is added to the list, while a dynamic range automatically updates when a new data is added to the list. So for better understanding, I'll be illustrating with an example. Here we have the income we've made and the expenses, and I want to get the total of the income and total of the expense. For the income, I'll be using a simple name range, while for the expense, I'll be using a dynamic name range. So before we get the total, we'll first of all name this range, the income. We select the range where we have the income and give it a name. And to name a range, you can either come to your name box and give it a name right here, give it a name, or you go to your formula tab under the name manager and click on define name. So for this income range, I'll be using this particular name box to give it a name. I'll just call it income, right? Then click enter. So we've given this a name. Now, this is just a simple name range. So if I come to this place and say equals to, let's sum it. Now I'll just input the name. You can press F3, or you just, when typing income, if you know the name of the name range, so I'll just use this income, select this income, and that's it. You can see it has selected the range, showing that the name range I use is this cell range, right? So I'll just click. This is the total. Now, if I'm to add any data here, it won't update because it's a particular range I selected and I named it. And this cell I'm about to input another data is outside the range, right? So if I put like 223,000 here, you see the total doesn't expand. The total is still 355. It's just working with this particular range I selected. So if I'm to edit the formula, I just click. You see that this 23,000 is not included in the name. So that's why it's just a simple name range. It doesn't update automatically. Now let's go to the expense. We want to get the total expense, and we'll be using a dynamic name range. And to use that, we'll be using the offset function to create our dynamic series. But before we get into the name manager section where we can create this name, let's test the formula. I'll say equals to offset. So I want to start from this point. I'll make my formula absolute. Then I'll say let the rows be 0, should remain on that cell, the column 0. Then I want to use the counter as my height, in the sense that it counts, so it will count only the range that are not empty, that has value in it. So I'm coming the entire column C, I'll make it absolute, I'll close it. Then the width should be 1, should still remain on that column. Good. So enter. Now it spills. This is what we call spilling. The formula spilled over. So, but you understand what I mean. So this is the formula I'll be using here. So I'll just copy it. Copy the formula. I cannot delete because I think this is what I want. I can delete this. We're using this section, the define name section, to create the name range, right? So you just click on define name. Then which name do we want to give it? Expenses. So what, this is where we now input the offset formula we, right? So say okay. Now equals to sum. Let's sum our expense. Remember, the name we gave it is expenses. So this is the expense, just select it. You see, it has selected the entire column we stated in our name range and enter. Good. So you see we have 123, 664, this 355. So let me update this. Let's say we have 12,000 here. Watch the space. This is 123. You see it has increased to 135. And if I come to this point, I say 3,450. Watch and see. So it keeps updating because of the dynamic nature of this name range we use here. Well, this particular name range is just a simple name range that doesn't update, except this particular range is in a table. That is when it updates automatically, right? So I believe we now understand the difference between a simple name range and a dynamic name range. So this brings me to the end of this lesson today. If you got value from this, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more value tips. I'll see you in the next training. Bye.